Well, another impeachment hearing happening just hours from now after Democrats add a second whistleblower to their impeachment push. But President Trump is doubling down on the bias behind these complaints.
It was a perfect call. It's just a scam. This is a scam by the Democrats to try and win an election that they're not going to win in 2020. We won on the Mueller scam. That was a whole big deal that lasted for 2.5 years. We had a few days of peace, and then all of a sudden they came up with this one.
And the other big question this morning, why is Nancy Pelosi still refusing to hold a full House vote? Joining me now, criminal defense attorney Dave Bruno. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Heather.
So let's begin with that question. Why no full House vote so far?
Well, I mean, I think strategically she didn't want to put the representatives in that place to make a public vote. And what it also does is it limits Republicans, because since it's not an official impeachment inquiry,
because they have to vote to have an inquiry, first of all.
Right. Well, they should have, without a doubt, because now it's a unilateral decision by the Speaker of the House. And it limits the Republicans. That's one of the things. They don't have their subpoena power. They have to try to negotiate just to ask questions in some of these depositions, which we saw last week with the special envoy to Ukraine. So it's tactically speaking, it's campaigning. I said this before when we talked about potential contempt on Ross and AG Barr.
Right.
This is campaigning at its best for the Democrats because they don't put the representatives in front on the floor to give their public vote.
And here's what the president agrees with you, by the way. He says in a tweet, the partisan whistleblower was very wrong on what was said on my perfect no pressure call with the Ukrainian president. Bring in another whistleblower from the bench. And they're talking about also the Dems having the whistleblower testify at an undisclosed location, and the Republicans not even being present. Is that correct?
That's the reporting on it, right? So we have whistleblower number 2, reportedly, that has direct knowledge. Whistleblower number 1 had no direct knowledge.
Right.
It was all hearsay. And when we talk about fundamental fairness, I mean, look at due process, the right to confrontation. It's unbelievable to me that the Democrats think that they can impeach a sitting president without divulging anybody's identity.
Right.
They want to.
Beyond that, what about the idea that members of Congress are representing all Americans?
Yes, this is not about D's and R's. These are representatives of the American people, and that's why they should be voting on the floor. That is why we should know who these people are that are providing information to impeach a president. And it's not going to last. It can't, because ultimately they need 2/3 vote in the Senate to impeach, to convict.
Yeah, even if they have enough votes.
And if they're going to do it on hearsay and anonymous sourcing,
so
you're not going to get the 2/3.
Is that one of the reasons that they did this? Because this is my other question for you. Why did Nancy Pelosi bypass the judicial system altogether and then hand the inquiry to the intel immediately? Why handle it that way? Because that's not the proper procedure, right?
I don't think she had the votes.
Okay.
I simply put, we see some polling on this and we see some votes, but that general question of representatives that support an impeachment action, it's not impeachment. I mean, how many of those are going to go to the floor right now? Let's call it today. Let's see how many we get. Because if they don't have the vote, then they should not be going down this hunt, I'll call it a witch hunt for now, with these 6 committees bouncing around subpoenas to Giuliani's associates, the State Department. And by the way, we're going to need some court proceedings here to determine what executive privilege is. This is a reoccurring issue with Don McGahn, with Giuliani, with State Department. There are outstanding issues. And when they go before the district court in D.C., they better have an impeachment. Are they going to make the argument that this impeachment inquiry is the same as an impeachment
but how
for
can you,
subpoena
how
purposes?
Can you hand it to the Intel Committee when the Intel Committee are some of those making the very charges?
Intel Committee does have the ability to investigate generally, right? So did they have the ability to call witnesses and to subpoena documents? They did. But I think it is just disingenuous to go before the American people and call this an inquiry when they should have called it to a vote to get these representatives out there publicly.
Yeah, but they know that the American public cannot follow it this closely, and they're counting on that. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you breaking it down.
Got it.